Life is a constant flow of challenges and uncertainties. Often, we face moments when it seems like everything around us is falling apart. In these times, discouragement may set in, and joy feels distant. However, the Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, teach us that there is a joy the outside world cannot touch, an inner joy that springs from our very essence and remains unbreakable, no matter what happens. This joy comes from living in harmony with virtue, reason, and acceptance of what is beyond our control. Today, we will explore how to cultivate this unshakable joy in our daily lives. We will discover how, even in the face of great adversity, we can find the inner strength that keeps us calm and balanced. For the Stoics, this practice of resilience is not just a philosophy but a transformative path that helps us face hard days with dignity and peace. This Stoic secret is the key to living a full life, independent of external circumstances. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your quote of the day in the comments. I will overcome any challenge. Let's build this unshakable strength together. Lesson 1. Silence is the first step. In the chaos of modern life, we are constantly surrounded by stimuli. There are endless noises, information bombarding us every second, and distractions pulling us away from ourselves. The mind, overloaded by this constant noise, loses its ability to find clarity. When sadness and discouragement set in, they amplify this inner turmoil, making it hard to see a way out. This is where the wisdom of silence comes in. For the Stoics, silence is not merely the absence of sound but the presence of an inner calm that allows us to observe and understand our own thoughts. Silence, in its essence, is the act of turning inward. When we choose to silence the external world, we create space to listen to what truly matters, our inner voice. Silence is not an escape, but a gentle confrontation with reality. By quieting the mind, we allow chaotic thoughts to settle, like dust after a storm. In that moment, truth emerges. Ancient Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus believed that silence was the key to self-understanding. In their meditations, they emphasized the importance of pausing to observe rather than reacting to what troubles us. For them, silence was the first step to mastering the mind and consequently the soul. When sadness takes hold of us, our tendency is to seek external explanations or to immerse ourselves in distractions that take us away from discomfort. However, by practicing silence, we recognize that we don't need immediate answers. What we need is a pause, a moment to simply exist without the rush to solve everything. This is the first step to overcoming discouragement, creating space for our inner chaos to settle naturally. In our society, silence is often seen as something uncomfortable. We feel the need to fill every moment of our lives with sound, words, or actions. Yet the real power lies in learning to embrace silence as a tool for healing and growth. When we are silent, we can hear not only our surface thoughts but also the deeper emotions that may be feeding our sadness. Silence is an invitation to introspection. By allowing ourselves moments of quiet, we can start identifying what truly troubles us. Often, what feels like sadness may actually be fear, frustration, or an unmet expectation. Silence helps us peel back these layers of emotions, revealing the true cause of our suffering. Once we identify the cause, we can begin working on it more effectively. It's important to note that silence does not mean ignoring or repressing our emotions. On the contrary, it gives us the opportunity to face them with clarity. By silencing the noise around us, we can listen to our feelings more attentively, without judgment or haste. This process helps us accept our emotions as part of the human experience, without letting them control us. Silence also teaches us that we don't need to find all the answers right away. Overcoming sadness and discouragement is a process, and the first step is allowing our minds to find a state of serenity. Only when the mind is calm can we see the path ahead. Practicing this ideal daily can be challenging, but it is one of the most effective ways to reconnect with ourselves. To do this, you don't need to isolate yourself for hours or escape to a remote place. Silence can be cultivated in small moments throughout the day. It could be meditating for a few minutes, closing your eyes and simply breathing. It might mean turning off your phone for a while and just observing what's around you, or even choosing not to respond immediately to a comment or situation that stirs up your emotions. Silence can also be practiced during simple activities, such as walking or drinking a glass of water. In these small pauses, the mind begins to reorganize itself, sadness loses its intensity, and serenity starts to emerge. It is a powerful way to overcome sadness and discouragement, and also the first step in finding clarity amid chaos. When we silence the external world and our impulsive reactions, we create space for a true understanding of our feelings. In silence, we find the answers that the noise of the world hides. The mind calms, the soul strengthens, and sadness loses its hold over us. Lesson 2: Master today. For Stoicism, time is one of the most precious assets. Wise Stoics believed that the present is the only moment truly within our control. The past is gone, and the future remains uncertain. Thus, the best way to live fully is to focus on the now, on today. When we are sad or discouraged, our minds tend to wander to the past or become lost in future anxieties. The Stoics, however, encourage us to concentrate on the present and master what is within our reach at this moment. For the Stoics, the present is the only time that truly exists. Yesterday has passed and cannot be changed, while tomorrow has not yet arrived. Wisdom lies in focusing on what is happening now. When we get stuck in the past, we relive mistakes and sorrows. When we live in the future, we are consumed by expectations and fears of the unknown. Mastery of the present is the antidote to these feelings because it is in the now that we find the chance to act, make choices, and change what is within our control. Focusing on the present means not allowing ourselves to be paralyzed by what has happened or what may happen. It means understanding that the only moment we can influence is now. Stoicism values action. It is not enough to reflect on what we want or lament what we did not do. We need to act, and action only occurs in the present. By mastering today, we allow even small steps to create transformation in our lives. This concept is especially important in times of sadness and discouragement, as even a small action can generate momentum and help dissipate emotional stagnation. If you feel discouraged today, take a step that moves your life forward, no matter how small. Action creates momentum, and this momentum helps break through emotional paralysis. Mastering the present is understanding that small actions, over time, lead to significant changes. What we do now determines what our future will look like and how we will face the past. Procrastination is one of the biggest obstacles to mastering the present. When we postpone tasks or decisions, we assume there will be a more suitable moment in the future, but the Stoics teach us that this ideal future may never come. We only have now. By putting off until tomorrow what we can do today, we distance ourselves from our responsibilities and often sink deeper into sadness or anxiety. Mastering the present challenges us to tackle each task of the day, one at a time, without fleeing or waiting for the ideal moment. The right moment is now. One of the Stoic maxims is to live each day as if it were your last. This idea does not suggest living in a rush, but valuing each moment as unique and precious. Treating today with special care reminds us not to waste it. Sadness and discouragement can make us believe we have plenty of time to resolve everything, but Stoicism teaches us that life is uncertain and that our only guarantee is now. By living each day as if it were our last, we become more aware of our actions and choices, helping us overcome discouragement and find meaning even in difficult times. Mastering today does not mean solving all problems at once or achieving great feats all at once. It is about simplifying. Instead of worrying about the future, focus on what can be done now. Break your goals down into simple, practical tasks. Ask yourself, what can I do today to improve my life a little? What small action brings me closer to inner peace? The simplicity of now is a powerful tool against discouragement. Facing one day at a time lightens the burden of the future and reduces the weight of the past. Each day, when lived fully, brings with it a sense of accomplishment, no matter how small the action may be. Mastering today is an act of power. It is how the Stoics teach us to overcome sadness and discouragement by focusing on what truly matters, the present moment. By living fully in the now, we find space to act, grow, and transform our reality, one day at a time. Lesson 3: Sadness is temporary, but its essence is eternal. Sadness is a universal emotion. At some point, everyone faces that feeling that seems to weigh on the chest and cloud the mind. However, the Stoics teach us that although sadness may seem endless, it is, in fact, temporary. Just like the clouds that pass through the sky or the changing seasons, sadness also has an end. Yet, something profound in its essence transcends the moment it affects us. This essence is not the pain itself but the lesson it brings, and that lesson is eternal. One of the main lessons from the Stoics about sadness is to understand its transient nature. Seneca, in his letters, often reminded us that emotions come and go like the wind. No emotion, no matter how intense, lasts forever. When we are immersed in sadness, it may seem that it will never pass, but in reality, it follows a cycle. Just like physical pain that over time heals and fades away, emotional sadness also takes its course. It arrives, lingers for a time, and eventually dissolves. For the Stoics, understanding that sadness is temporary offers relief. This does not mean ignoring or repressing the emotion but accepting that, just as the sun sets and rises again, there will come a time when sadness gives way to another feeling. Accepting this natural cycle of emotions is a way to maintain peace of mind, even in the most difficult moments. While sadness is transient, its essence, however, is eternal. And that essence resides in what it teaches us. Each time we face sadness, we have an opportunity for growth and self-awareness. Emotional pain prompts us to reflect on ourselves, our values, and our relationship with the world. It reminds us of the impermanence of life and teaches us that, no matter how hard we try to control it, some aspects of existence are beyond our reach. The Stoics believed that true wisdom arises from confronting and accepting the realities of life, including the painful ones. Sadness, therefore, is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather a stern teacher that guides us toward clarity. Its eternal essence is precisely this lesson: to understand that pain teaches us to value peace, that suffering helps us appreciate joy, and that sadness strengthens us and makes us more resilient. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is to accept what we cannot change. When we face sadness, it is common to try to push it away or ignore it, but this resistance only intensifies suffering. According to the Stoics, the true way to overcome sadness is to accept it as part of the human experience. By understanding that sadness is a part of life, we stop fighting against it and learn to deal with it wisely and serenely. This acceptance is not resignation, but a form of liberation. By accepting sadness as a passing and natural emotion, we free ourselves from the fear it brings. We stop seeing it as an enemy and instead view it as a visitor that, although uncomfortable, has something valuable to teach us. In this process of acceptance, we find inner freedom, as we are no longer captives of our emotions but observers who understand the mutable nature of life. From the Stoic perspective, sadness plays an important role in self-development. It forces us to reflect on our mortality, our expectations, and what truly matters in our lives. By confronting the fragility of the human condition, we are led to reassess our values and redirect our focus toward more enduring aspects, such as virtue, wisdom, and serenity. Sadness is not just an emotion to be overcome, but an experience to be lived deeply. By allowing ourselves to immerse in it, we find the essence of our humanity and emerge more aware and wiser. Sadness teaches us to look within, to cultivate patience, and to find beauty in the imperfections of life. For the Stoics, a profound understanding of emotions is the path to emotional freedom. By grasping the transient nature of sadness, we can alleviate the weight it exerts on our souls. We know that, no matter how much it hurts in the present, its permanence is illusory. Over time, it will yield to serenity, and what will remain is the wisdom it brought us. The eternal essence of sadness, therefore, does not reside in the suffering itself, but in the wisdom we gain by facing it. Each moment of sadness overcome brings us closer to the understanding that we are capable of weathering life's storms with courage and dignity. Sadness, though intense, is temporary. It comes and goes like the seasons, but its essence, the lesson it teaches us about life, acceptance, and resilience, is eternal. By embracing this emotion and learning from it, we become stronger, wiser, and more prepared to face future adversities. Sadness does not define who we are, but what we do with it can shape our being forever. Lesson 4. The weight you carry does not define who you are. Life presents us with countless challenges and burdens that sometimes seem unbearable. These emotional, mental, and even physical loads can lead us to believe that the weight we carry directly reflects who we are. However, Stoic teachings remind us that the obstacles we encounter along the way do not define our essence. What truly defines us are our choices, our attitudes, and how we deal with the difficulties that life imposes on us. One of the most common traps we face is the tendency to identify ourselves with the burdens we carry. When we go through moments of sadness, disappointment, failure, or suffering, it's easy to see ourselves as victims of circumstances. The weight of negative experiences can lead us to believe that we are insecure, incapable, or defeated. However, this identification is illusory. The Stoics taught that external circumstances, no matter how challenging, do not determine our worth as individuals. Seneca said, "No wind is favorable to those who do not know where they are going." In other words, true human value lies in how we respond to what happens, not in what happens to us. The weight you carry is temporary and external. It does not represent who you are at your core. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. He stated that our emotions and reactions are something we can control, but external circumstances and challenges are beyond our power. Therefore, it is essential to understand that, although we may carry heavy burdens, these burdens do not define our essence. By separating the being from the burden, we grant ourselves the freedom to act with autonomy and clarity. Imagine that you are a traveler carrying a backpack full of stones, each representing a challenge or burden that life has imposed on you. As you walk, this backpack may seem increasingly heavy, making the journey difficult. However, the backpack is not you, it is merely something you carry temporarily. Along the way, you can decide what to do with these stones. You can throw them away, learn to carry them more efficiently, or transform them into tools that help you move forward. Similarly, the weights you carry in life, emotional pain, failures, losses, do not define who you are. They are part of the journey, but not the entirety of the traveler. Your true essence lies in how you deal with this load. The Stoics deeply believed in resilience, the ability to endure and adapt to adversity without being destroyed by it. Resilience is not merely enduring, it is learning to transform the burden into strength. When we face challenges, we have the opportunity to choose how to respond. We can succumb to the weight, defining ourselves by our difficulties, or we can use them as fuel for personal development. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic emperors and philosophers, wrote in his Meditations that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that the obstacles and burdens we face are not just challenges, but opportunities for growth. Another fundamental lesson of Stoicism is that, while we cannot choose what happens to us, we can choose the meaning we give to those experiences. The weight you carry can be viewed as an unbearable burden or as an opportunity for learning and transformation. The choice is yours. By adopting the Stoic perspective, we understand that suffering can be a teacher. It teaches us about our limits, the impermanence of things, and the importance of maintaining inner calm. More importantly, it teaches us that the weight itself does not have the power to define us. We are defined by how we choose to react to it. Thus, the weight you carry does not define who you are. By freeing yourself from the shackles of external circumstances, you find a new kind of freedom. This does not mean that you will not feel pain or sadness. These feelings are natural and part of the human experience. However, it means that you do not need to identify with these feelings permanently. You are not the pain you feel, nor the mistakes you have made, nor the challenges you face. You are something much greater and deeper. The Stoics teach us that true strength comes from how we deal with challenges, not from the challenges themselves. The burden you face may seem overwhelming, but it is temporary and does not define who you are. By separating yourself from that weight and choosing to respond to it with resilience, you discover your true nature, a being capable of overcoming any difficulty, with the wisdom to know that what you carry is not what defines you. Lesson 5. Emptiness is preparation for rebirth. We all, at some point in our lives, face the feeling of emptiness, a sense of absence that can arise in various situations, such as losing a loved one, seeing our plans fail, or confronting seemingly insurmountable challenges. This emptiness can feel daunting, like an endless emotional abyss. However, Stoicism teaches that emptiness is not an end in itself, but a necessary stage for rebirth. It is in this emptiness that the opportunity to begin anew, to be reborn with greater strength and awareness resides. For the Stoics, emptiness is an inevitable part of the human experience, a natural consequence of the transience of life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reflected on the passage of time and the acceptance of change. Instead of fearing emptiness, He suggested that we embrace it, for it is a reminder that we are always in a state of transformation. When something important is taken from our lives, be it a relationship, an opportunity, or a significant phase, the resulting emptiness is, in fact, the space created by change. This space is not a bottomless pit. On the contrary, it is the fertile ground where rebirth can occur. Instead of interpreting emptiness as a permanent absence, we should see it as a prelude to something new. Although uncomfortable, it plays an essential role in our inner development. In the fast pace of daily life, we rarely have the opportunity to reflect deeply on who we are and what we truly desire. Emptiness, however, forces us to stop and turn inward, providing a moment of introspection in which we discover the seeds of rebirth. This empty space allows us to re-evaluate our values, goals, and expectations. Often, when confronting emptiness, we realize that what we previously sought did not align with what would truly fulfill us. Emptiness offers the chance to redefine our path, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to prepare for what is to come. A powerful metaphor for emptiness and rebirth is that of a seed. Before germinating, the seed undergoes a period of darkness and stillness in the soil. This emptiness does not indicate inactivity. On the contrary, it is in this environment that the necessary transformation occurs for it to grow and break through the earth toward the light. Thus, the emptiness in our lives may give the impression of stagnation, but in reality, we are preparing for rebirth. This process of introspection and internal transformation is fundamental for us to emerge stronger, just like the seed that becomes a robust plant. The Stoics firmly believed in accepting the natural laws and the inevitable cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. This cycle applies not only to physical life, but also to our experiences. Emptiness, therefore, should not be avoided but embraced as part of the cycle. Epictetus reminds us that we do not control what happens to us, but we can choose how to react. Emptiness is one of those experiences that we cannot prevent, but we can decide how to experience it. Instead of resisting or fleeing, we should accept it as a temporary phase and a preparation for something greater. The rebirth that arises from emptiness is not just a return to what we were, but the emergence of a new version of ourselves, stronger, more aware, and resilient. Emptiness invites us to reinvent ourselves, to leave behind what no longer serves us, and to embrace new possibilities. As we emerge from emptiness, we often gain a new perspective on life, valuing simple things more, focusing on what truly matters, and reinforcing our determination to follow our true path. This rebirth does not happen immediately but gradually, as we integrate the lessons that emptiness teaches us. Stoicism shows us that, through the practice of virtue and resilience, we can emerge from the most challenging situations with renewed strength. Emptiness, therefore, is not a curse but a blessing in disguise, a preparatory stage for our inner rebirth. As frightening as it may seem, emptiness is an essential part of growth. It prepares us for rebirth by creating space for new experiences, new understandings, and a new version of ourselves. Instead of fearing or resisting emptiness, we should embrace it as part of the natural cycle of transformation. Emptiness is the preparation for rebirth, an opportunity to rebuild ourselves and emerge stronger, more aware, and in tune with our true essence. As the Stoics teach us, life is a sequence of ups and downs, and emptiness is merely the prelude to the rise that is yet to come. This is the great secret of Stoicism. True joy comes from within and is unbreakable, regardless of what the world presents us. We have reached the end of this reflection on the power of inner joy. Stoicism teaches us that, regardless of external circumstances, we have within us the capacity to find peace and strength. True joy arises from our ability to live virtuously and to accept what we cannot control. May these reflections help you face life's challenges with more serenity and resilience. If you made it to the end, comment gratitude, so I know this message impacted you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, like and check out these 2 videos I've selected for you to continue your transformations. Until next time.